Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into our channel. And this is, as I always stated, this is a channel of the guys that have said that for this, we are never giving up. And there is in another 10, 5, 10 years that there is something that we are building that even the world is not ready to achieve. It's not ready to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something that I always talk about that is just about learning. And I always say that when you are wished out of those higher institutions of learning after formal education. That is when the real learning starts. And that is why when you're told that go out there and do all that it pertains to that particular degree that you've just been awarded. And I was looking at I was reading a book and by Eric Hoffer, and it stated something that really I have been reflecting about it. He talked about that to learn we need a certain degree of confidence, not too much, not too little. Because if we have too little confidence, we'll think that we can't learn. But also, if we have too much confidence, we think that we don't have to learn. So it's just about learning, and learning normally talk about there must be somebody that you're following. There must be a teacher, there must be a mentor, because also it stated very clearly that you don't have to believe in the creative wisdom of the people's ignorance. That you don't, when people don't know, they don't know. You don't have to be in a group of people that you are trying to learn. All of you don't know. You have to listen to somebody that at least shows a certain expression of the results that you ought to have. That's what we are talking about here. And I was looking at something about what Bob Proctor used to talk about it before. Let his soul rest in peace. He talked about why are people stuck? Most people are stuck, and we are listening. Why are people stuck? And I was stuck simply because stated very clearly because most of us don't know where we are and where we are going. That distance, most of us can't really tell where we are and where we are going, and that is what creates. And that is a paradigm. A paradigm also these are just uh, habits that other people's habits that have been passed down from one generation to another that we learn and we they are stuck in our mind that we cannot just shred them off. And he talked about something very interesting about goals, and setting a goal is quite important. A goal can be a purpose. A goal can also culminate into a vision. And goals are normally major two levels of goals. You have the short-term goals and also you have the long-term goals. So when we talk about a goal is quite important because normally you cannot shoot at a future that you can't see. You cannot go into a destination that is not clear. You don't know where it is. So the goals must be very clear. And he talks about something very important that is it really important to set a goal? That is the most important question that has been lingering upon my mind, and I'm asking that is it really important to set a goal? And why is it even important? Do you really need a goal? Just ask yourself, is it important to set a goal? And after setting a goal, when you're looking at a goal setting, it comes back to an attitude. And attitude here, I'm not just looking at most of us have gone maybe through a very hard past or a sad past, and maybe you have tried and lost several times in the past. But we're not just going to wing it because we have lost it in the past. The thing is that that is calm, right attitude tells us that let the past be a teacher. Let it teach you. Let it teach you. And how do you face the future after losing and losing and losing several times? Because normally we're told that success is just after several failures or just a few failures. So it depends with how many times you fail. So much so that try as much try as much as possible to fail as fast as possible so that you reach the success. And looking at what is important is also how do you feel about the future? That's also another attitude. You can face the future by in two ways, either with apprehension or with anticipation. Apprehensions, that is when the future is not very clear. That is when you are just winging it, and you don't really see the future. And so that when the future is not clear, when the promise is not clear, it becomes very difficult to achieve it. You cannot go into a destination that you don't know. You must define it. Then you can also face the future by anticipation. That is when you design the future that you want. Go into the future, think about it, and design it. That is it. Design what you want. And then when you have designed and the future is clear and the promise is clear, I will say that it's easy to achieve it. When the promise is clear, it becomes very easy to achieve it. And now you are able to come with a plan. That is what you are talking about. And I just want us to look at, I was talking about with a mentor and a very great guy. He talked about how can you achieve the simplest way that you can achieve a goal, that you can set and achieve a goal. And I just want to summarize it a very short period of time. And because I thought this is all about learning, and this is Marco. Just welcome back into this channel. And the number one step that he talked about that about a goal, think. Thinking is the highest faculty of a human mind, or and as Bob Proctor used to put it, that most people think that they think, and it confuses the mental activity with thinking. People don't think. It's just that about 3% of people think. The rest are just winging. It's just a mental activity moving through your mind, and you think that you are thinking. You're not thinking. So the first thing is to think, and just go into imagination. Imagination is another second highest faculty of the mind. That imagine the future that you want, and imagine the future. Here we talk about imagine the skills that you want. Imagine the books that you want to own. Imagine the kind of income, and be exact. Which income do you want, and after how long? Then imagine the family that you want. Imagine the friends. Imagine the kind of a house. Imagine the places that you like to visit. Then go into that future. Imagine that you are there. Feel it. Close your eyes and just feel about the future. Be there for a moment. Feel it. Then after that, list everything down. That is writing. There's something about writing your goals on a paper, not on a touchpad or an iPad, but when you write it down on a paper, there is something that when you put something down on a paper, there's a strong level of communication that you're making. And that strong level of communication, it goes deep down into your mind that you're making a contract with yourself. And there's high probability that there's something you're going to do about it. After doing that, then make that list. Make 10, 20, make as many as possible. You can also apply then, after making the list of everything that you want. You always say that it's always about that you pay the price, because I also talked about that, the mentor talked about after everything is about paying the price. After making the list, keep the old list, but you must pay the price. Also, number 3 is keep the old list. Keep it. Don't ever lose your list, because it's always writing, because each and every day, each and every year, there are some new things that you'll be adding, but you keep the old list. Because after some 2 to 3 years, you'll get to realize that even the goals that you wrote 2 years ago, they're no longer even important. Why? Because you have developed, you have learned, your skills are high, and you are a person at another different level. Then the next thing that is quite important, you can also apply the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle, this was developed by Pareto himself in Italy when he was studying the economy of Italy. And he found out that the 80% of wealth in Italy was owned by only 20% of people. And this cuts across. You'll always get that even about all those goals that you have written down, that only 20% of those goals will control the desired life that you want to live in future. And afterward, if there are 10, ask yourself the very simple question: which of these goals will have the greatest positive in my life? Identify it, then write it aside. Then ask yourself, which one is the second most important goal? Also write it aside. Then work on those goals, 2 goals every day. You'll get that the rest of the goals you'll achieve almost 80 to 90% of everything about your life about from those two goals. That is it. Work on it every day. There's also a study that says state is very clearly about the most successful guys. Say that about 85% of the most successful people on this planet they have a big goal that they're working on daily. But also states that an average, about 3% of an average man also have a big goal that they totally don't work about. They don't work on it. They're just looking at it and viewing and maybe imagining about it, but they don't work on it. But what now is look at the difference. The difference is the successful person is working on his goal every day, while this an average man doesn't work on it, the big goal. The big goal is that goal that you have, the vision. Because we're talking about the vision. What do you want to leave behind? That is 10, 15, 20 years to come. Once you leave the earth, because you're just passing, but once you leave, what do you want to leave behind? That's what is important also. And that is, you get it written down on a paper, a card. There's a goal card. Write it down. I write it down as if it has already happened, that I'm happy and blessed that I'm achieving this particular goal in this particular time. Time is quite important, always. And I talk about a goal. These goals that I've written, you have imagined. Then how do you create a plan? Creating a plan, this guide gave me a very simple way of creating a plan. If you have the life that you want to live is in 10 years, go into 10 years, imagine about it. Now start coming behind. From 10, come to 9th year. Ask yourself, if I have, what must I have in 9th year so that I can live this life in 10 years? After you have written that down, come to 8th year. What must I have in the 8th year so that I can live this life that I want in the 10th year? Backward until you reach the first year. Then that one gives you a roadmap and a plan on how you are going to achieve the kind of a life that you need in 10 years. It is very simple. And normally, do you know? It is simple, but it's not easy. Because what is as simple as it appears, it's also simple and easy not to be done. And the greatest enemy. And you know why also most of us don't achieve their goals, or we don't even strive to achieve goals because we don't have a reason. So we also one day we'll just talk about the reasons why men go. You ask yourself, why does somebody just decide to drive around the earth? Why? Drive around the world. Why? Because of passion, ladies and gentlemen. You must have a passion for whatever you want to do. There must be something passion. Then ask, I like this story when Jim Rohn talked about his mentor. He talked that when his mentor told him that, why can't you set a goal to become a millionaire? Then he was happy and told that this is the reason why. You don't need to give me a reason why I need to be a millionaire. Just having those zeros is quite fulfilling. And it's not about the zeros, so it would be the millions that is important. It is about what you have to become to be a millionaire. That even you can lose the millions and you still get it within a very short period of time because of the person that you have to become. That is the journey is quite much fulfilling, and is what is most important. The journey of achieving that goal, the journey of achieving a vision. That is the most important thing that you have to adhere to that. And what I'm looking at this point is the greatest enemy of not achieving a goal is procrastination. And what brings procrastination? What brings procrastination is very simple. Not seeing results. Because we'll now talk about the first 10 years of any activity. Just talk about 10 years. 10 years, it is a long period of time. Genuine wealth that is created over a long period of time. And the first 10 years, normally, there's very little to show. And most people give up. Why? Because there's nothing to show. You are struggling, and the public rule will tell you that stop whatever you are doing and try something else. But do you know what the ground rules say? The ground rules of wealth say that stay put, continue. In another 10 years, 20 years, you'll see the results. That is it. Procrastination. And another simple method of overcoming procrastination is 5-second rule. Count. When you set up your alarm to wake up at 5 a.m., and then the alarm goes, and count when the alarm automatically goes off. Count from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then get out of the bed. Go. Come out. Always action. This action. The next thing is keep showing up. Keep showing up, ladies and gentlemen. It will pay out. It will. And when the promise is clear, the future is clear, and the work becomes easier. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and remember to subscribe to this particular community. This is a great community that is we are building. That is another 10, 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. There is something that you also know that you can share. Share with it. Share with us here in this community. And keep showing up. It will pay up. 10, 20 years, you are going to stand on a spot that even the people will wonder, how did you make it here? Thank you and enjoy.